Situated in the less genteel suburb of Camden Town, Dickens described it as having a basement, 2 ground-floor rooms, 2 on the first floor, a garret, and an outside wash-house. When describing the Cratchit family home in A Christmas Carol, it was to Bayham Street that Dickens looked for inspiration. Home to his parents, 4 siblings, his relative through marriage, James Lambert, and an orphan brought from the Chatham workhouse, the house must have felt extremely cramped and considerably less comfortable than any previous family home. Reflecting on this time in his life, he told his friend and biographer, John Forster, of his distress at losing his life in Chatham and his overwhelming desire to be taught something, anywhere. To make matters worse, Fanny was about to enroll on a 4-year course at the Royal Academy of Music, at considerable expense to the family. London. By the time the Dickens family arrived in London in 1822, it was the largest city in the world and the heart of the British Empire. Beginning in the late 18th century, industrialization had transformed the social and economic character of the city. From shipbuilding to domestic service, London thrived as a centre of production and employment. Workers from as far afield as India and China flocked to the city in search of new opportunities, causing a dramatic and continual increase in the city's population. Not all of London's inhabitants, however, shared in its wealth and prosperity. High levels of poverty, caused by unemployment and low wages, created scores of slum neighbourhoods that came to represent the darker side of this great city. For the young Dickens, these poor areas and their inhabitants replaced Chatham as the focus of his attention. He looked upon slums like the Seven Dials, situated close to his Camden home, with equal amounts of fascination and repulsion, and would find inspiration from their squalor and vice throughout his literary career. On the 26th of December, 1823, the family left Bayham Street and moved to 4 Gower Street North, a small house in the suburb of Bloomsbury. With his father's debts increasing, his mother, Elizabeth, attempted to alleviate the financial burden by setting up a school for young ladies. Known as Mrs. Dickens' establishment, the venture was a complete failure, despite Dickens's attempts to drum up business in the local area. As he would later recall, "Nobody ever came to the school, nor do I recollect that anybody ever proposed to come, or that the least preparation was made to receive anybody." The next attempt to ease the family's financial burden came in the form of a job offer from James Lambert, the family's former lodger. Employed as the manager of a local boot-blacking factory, he suggested that Dickens get a job at the factory and do his bit to support the family. While Dickens staunchly protested, his parents gratefully accepted the offer. On the 9th of February, 1824, only 2 days after his 12th birthday, Dickens left his home in Gower Street North and walked the 3 miles to Warren's blacking factory at 30 Hungerford Stairs, the Strand. His job was to label the individual pots of blacking, a mixture used for polishing boots. In return, he received 6 shillings per week, approximately £12.58 in modern currency. In this dirty and decayed environment, as he would later describe it, Dickens quickly became known as the young gentleman among his fellow workers. While some may have treated him as an outcast, a young boy called Bob Fagin took Dickens under his wing. He would later become the namesake for one of his most famous villains, Fagin in Oliver Twist. Debtor's Prison. Within 2 weeks, any hope of escaping the rats and the monotony of the blacking factory was quickly crushed when his father was arrested for debt. On the 20th of February, 1824, John Dickens was detained in a local sponging house, a place of temporary confinement for debtors.